right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Property Players. I'm your host, C. Mouzon. Got another great guest here for you. Somebody that I've been seeing from afar on LinkedIn. Got a chance to just connect recently, but I wanted to have her on the show because, again, I think she's just in the hunt, doing all the things that someone in the real estate industry should be doing. So, Cassaundra, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pleasure's mine. So let's jump straight in, right? Let's just get straight to it. Give me like your origin story. Like what led Cassaundra to get into real estate? How were you in high school? Start as far back as you want to.
All right. So in high school, I wanted to be a cosmetologist, and I went to college for radiology. Nothing in the field of whatever I wanted to do. So I was going for radiology, realized very fast that that was not for me. Was going to be a math major, become a math teacher because I loved the idea of having a different day every single day because the kids would give me something different. It wouldn't be a 9 to 5 job. It would be, it'd be like 6:30 to 3:30, but
Right.
it would be different every single day. Well, didn't do so well in my one math class. And I was like, screw it, I'm getting a business degree. So I started getting my business management degree. And it can be so scary when you're getting your degree without any experience. You
Hmm.
need 5 years experience to get into any sort of job. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to start as soon as possible. And while I was wrapping up my associate's degree, I became a admin assistant in a real estate office.
Nice.
So a small brokerage. I learned a lot very fast, and I went in going, you know what, I will never be a real estate agent. I had this stigma built up in my head that all agents were slimy and they just wanted your money. And very fast, I learned that that was not true. I had no idea what real estate agents did. I saw what was on the TV and movies, and even still, I watch these movies and TV shows, and I'm just like, I can see why I had that.
Sure.
So as I was wrapping up my associate's degree, I went to my broker. I was like, hey, I think I want to get my real estate license. And she made me sign up right then and there. So there was no really going back.
Awesome.
And that was in December, or it was like the summer of 2017. Got my license, took all my tests, and was registered and good to go by December 2017. So I've been in the business technically 5 years, but I've been actively practicing for a little over three.
Awesome. Before, when you were making that decision in college, like going to school, did you know anyone in real estate, or did you know anyone in cosmetology? Is that why you went that direction? Like, what was it that you were thinking about?
Yeah, so my hairstylist, I went to see her every 2 months or so. She was like, don't do it. And so I was like, I'm not doing it then. So I thought that I would be interested in something in the health profession, which is kind of why with business management, when I started going after that, I was like, I could be an office manager there because a lot of those managers just have the degree. They don't have the nursing experience or anything like that. So I liked the idea of being able to go anywhere. But now I just utilize my degree for my business itself because I'm my own boss. So it
Exactly.
actually worked out very well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So starting to work in the office, the real estate office, what were you seeing? I know you went in with the mindset of like, man, real estate people can be slimy or like this is a weird
Yeah.
industry, but like what exactly did you see? What was your day to day like? How were you getting, interacting with people in the industry?
Yeah. So essentially, what I did was I collected all of the paperwork and I started the files. So actually, I got to learn all of the documents, all of the necessary requirements from the state before I even got into real estate. But it was great practice just to see them. They'd come in, they'd go do their own thing.
Hmm.
I didn't really see the agents too much, but they always responded to me as soon as I got back to them. The one agent who I dealt with very often, she was always in the office, but also when she wasn't there, she was with her dogs.
Hmm.
And when me and my boyfriend were planning on getting a house, we were going to get a dog. And I was like, wait, but my dog can come into the office with me too. Cause like this isn't a typical job and
Right.
it's a pet friendly office. So we didn't have many agents in that office because it was a smaller brokerage. However, I did see them just come in and out.
Mm.
Didn't really, there was nothing that intrigued me about it.
Right.
It was just, oh, they kind of make their own schedule, but I'm a really hard worker. And I realized very fast that what you put into the business is what you get out. So once I kind of grasped that and held on to it for a little bit and sat with it, I was like, I could kind of see myself doing this because I do work hard. So that's what really got me into it, was my own thinking. It wasn't even them per se.
Got you. And that's an interesting thing, right? A lot of times people get into the real estate world because they get introduced to it, because they have someone say like, "Hey, have you thought about getting a real estate license?" Or right, like I sell X amount of homes, or right, like you see something now, obviously on social, right? You're like, "Oh, that person's killing it," right? Like I could do that. Like I'm personable like them, and so we make those decisions that way off of kind of what we see. But interesting for you to say, "Huh, I know that like I work hard." So because I work hard, whatever I apply myself to, I'll be successful at, or it'll take off. And very much so in real estate, and what I do in financial services, it's very much that same mindset of like what you put into it is what you'll get out of it,
Yep.
right? And I often tell people, because I'm sure you hear this, people trying to transition out of their job or leave the 9 to 5 and be a realtor, or right, like anything on that side. And what I always tell people is, if you are a hard worker, if you're a hard worker, your family or the people around you, they'll benefit way more by you getting paid for your effort than just getting paid for your time,
Yep.
right? That is the key. And like too often a lot of people are stuck in this mindset of like, I work hard, but my job doesn't value me. And right, like I don't make all the money I want to. And I'm like, listen, if you really actually do work that hard and you're not just like BSing yourself, like if you really are a hard worker, you need to jump out on something that is production based, that is commission based,
Yep.
that is something that will allow you to work and then receive that income from it. So I'm glad that you saw that. But for our listeners and people that are watching, like at the end of the day, look inside of yourself and say like, do I have what it takes to make this business? Because there's thousands of ways to make money. Real estate's one of those,
Right.
but like it's about you, right? It's about what you put in. So did anyone ever like empower you to say like, hey, you're a hard worker, or hey, you have these traits or these qualities, so you would be good, or you just kind of figured it out yourself?
So being in business management really helped me realize that I was a natural born leader. I just always have been. I was captain of the cheer squad in high school. Like it's always been there. And even as a kid, my mom used to say, I was the line leader. Like I would start doing something because I didn't care what other people thought of me. And it was always kind of there. So when I realized that moment, because I worked Monday, Wednesday, Friday as an admin from 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
and I hated sitting at my desk. I would get my work done very fast. You know, I ended up scrolling through Facebook half the day. So it's like I'm not being productive with my time, one, but two, do they really value what I'm doing? Because, I was making next to nothing there. So it's like, but at the same time, I got it done so fast. So that's kind of where I was like, okay, so my hustle as an admin alone, I learned the documents already, which is one of the biggest parts and hardest part of becoming a real estate agent. Um, all the legal words that are
Mm.
in those documents. And then, just realizing that if I stick my mind to something, I can do it. And again, being in those management classes helped me so much, the business management, because I learned about marketing. I learned how to be an employer because I am my own boss. So there are days where I have to get myself out of bed and be like, listen, you're your employee today. And, someone has to do this work and you're the only person doing it. So
Absolutely.
you got to do it.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, there was my mom's always been there and has encouraged me through everything, but
Yeah.
it's just always been kind of there. It's
That's it. You know things about yourself, right? Like
Yep,
that's what starts to happen. And this is, I talk a lot about like the employee mindset and the entrepreneur mindset, and like
yep,
you saying like waking up and knowing like, hey, I'm my own, like I have to get this done. Like if I don't get this done, no one else is going to get it done. And those things start to like build you as a person, right? You start to become accountable and take
yep,
responsibility for your days and your life and your time. And then all of a sudden that momentum snowballs, and then you grow into success in your field, in your industry, and what you do. So you said something important there about like learning the lingo, learning the language of real estate. Tell me about that. So like now, you get licensed. What's the process? Like how are you feeling? Are you excited? Like how did you learn information? Like how'd that go?
yeah. Yeah, that is a great question because everyone thinks that what you learn in real estate classes is how you become a real estate agent. That is not true at all. In the classes, you learn how to pass the state exam and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
It is all experience from there on out. So I was lucky. I had some agents in the office who were willing to let me come with to showings, let me help submit a few offers. It's very hands-on. That is how you're going to learn. So I already knew the paperwork. Now to actually explain it to someone, that was a little scary. So I faked it until I made it, especially being a new agent. I went after my demographic, people who were exactly like me. So people I graduated with from high school is who a lot of my clientele base is, because I knew, one, they knew me, they trusted me. I'm glad that I didn't mess around in high school. I wasn't mean. I was
Right.
just
Because there's a lot of people that did mess around. Like, there's a lot of people that have
exactly,
none
yeah.
of those relationships, and you can't go back now.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's one thing that was benefiting me. But now it's just, okay, so I did all the hard stuff already. It's maintaining the clientele now, because, in those classes, you don't learn how to get your first client. And for me, I get most of my clients through social media. As you saw, I post videos on education, and I have three main points that I like on my social media. It's education, fun, and family. And family includes my dogs, because I do have three dogs, and I want everyone to know because they're so cute.
And they
But
are a part of your family, trust me.
exactly, exactly. So it's getting the clientele base. It was scary at first, and I wasn't paying my bills. I mean, someone else was paying my bills at the time, so I got lucky. But to get up and drop everything and become a full-time real estate agent is very difficult, because clientele base does not come easy, and you have to want it. You have to put in the hours. You have to make contacts. You have to go outside your comfort zone. Now, for me, I'm an extrovert, so that was pretty easy for me. But there are many introverts who are real estate agents and very successful. It's just a matter of finding what works for you. So it was scary. And now I am so glad it all paid off, because here I am. And I, I'm still one of the youngest people in my current brokerage at Coldwell Banker, but
Yeah,
it just feels good.
it does. Faking it till you make it, right? Like,
Yep.
just really, like, hey, you don't know what you don't know. Again, difference between the employee mind and the entrepreneur mind is, like, you didn't wait for instruction, you just went and
Yep.
did, and then you learned it
Yep.
as you go, right? That's such a big distinction, and that's one of the reasons that you're successful in what you do, is because that becomes the process. Too many times people want to say, oh, I need to learn everything, right? Like, I'll get the license, then teach me everything else, like, tell me everything. It's like, no,
Right.
no, no, go talk to people. Right? Like,
And
go
it's
figure this out.
scary.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I am an extrovert. However, putting myself in a networking situation, as a new agent, I froze up. I was like, what do I need to do? And, I always kind of went by Cassie when I was younger, but I was 20 when I entered the business.
Wow.
So I was like, I need to go by Cassaundra. Like, people just have to know that about me. And, because of the way I held myself and how I started going by Cassaundra, a lot of other agents, some of my older clients, they're like, oh, we never would have guessed that you were only 20 at the time.
Wow.
And now I'm 24, and people still say the same thing. They think I'm 30 years old, which I don't know what that's going to say about me long term, but
I
helping
guess what you.
yourself and
Yeah.
doing scary things
Yeah.
it will pay off. It just, you have to do it.
Absolutely. Did you have anyone in the brokerage that was, like, guiding you, that was like, hey, do this or say this, or yeah?
Yes. So I had one of the brokers and then another agent who mentored me through a lot. I also just watched a lot of YouTube videos on how people were doing things, because we have all of these resources on Google. And, I was researching other top producers who were in California, Florida, the bigger housing markets, the ones that are the selling price, average selling price is like $300,000 higher than here in Pennsylvania. But
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, it's just doing it on your own. So
Yeah.
I had people who were kind of, here's the contracts, here's what I do to get business.
Mm-hmm.
What they were doing to get business wasn't working for me.
Sure.
So I went out and just researched myself.
It's the way to do it. YouTube University. People don't know, right? Like,
Yep.
there's there's so much out there. There's so much information out there that you can learn to do anything if you have that grit, if you have the desire, if you just go and do it and stop asking for permission and,
Yep.
right, all that stuff. So again, these are and again, for people that are listening, I hope that you're picking up, if you're trying to get into the industry, or you're in the industry and you're struggling a little bit, or whatever the case is, right? Like, what are you not doing? Are you not putting yourself into uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable environments like networking? Are you not on your social media game? Like, are you not studying and learning your craft? Are you not talking? Like, what is it that you're not doing? You have to recognize those things so that you can get better. So that you can get better. And so when you are now in that process of kind of faking it till you make it, really just learning the business, talking to people, getting some clients, when did you kind of get over the hump? Because there's always that time where we're like, okay, I think I got it, or you sell your first home, or right, like you get your first
Yep.
listing, right? Like take me through some of that.
So for me personally, I think that it was honestly as soon as I started working with clients, because I already knew the documents. Again, explaining it was one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, once I started working with clients, I was a lot more confident in everything else that I was doing. Um, but I will say at the end of my first year, when I met my goal of selling 10 units, I was very impressed with myself. And I was like, I did that. Like, no one else did that. Because in this business, you're not being handed business, you
Right.
know? So after that first year, I really went gung ho. And I mean, I did even better my second year. And then my third year was my most successful year, which it should be with only being 3 full years in the business. But I did my third year in a pandemic. So that, and really after last year, there is nothing that can stop me. Even this market, it is terrifying right now because I'm mostly a buyer's agent and it is a seller's market. People are going way over asking price, waiving inspections, and I don't let my clients, they're allowed to do what they want,
Right.
but I advise them not to, because why are you out of pocket all of this money? You know, why are you going to put $10,000 out of pocket into a house when return wise, you don't know what the return is going to be in a few years?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you waiving inspections for a biggest investment that you're going to do? You know, you don't buy a car without checking under the hood. It's the same thing. Why would you move into a house like that? So,
What are you seeing out?
first year
Like, are
definitely
you
was the first.
are you seeing a lot of this out there? Like, because I, again, all my realtor friends, everyone that I know, right, says exactly the same thing, right?
Yep.
We're low inventory, so right, like seller's market, 10 offers first week, right, above
First
listing.
day.
There
It
we go.
is crazy. Like it is, it is crazy. So the reasoning is because we have so many more buyers. Listings have been about the same in the past 5 years. However, we have all of the investors who were buying the foreclosure short sales. They're in the regular housing market now, you know, because they stopped doing foreclosures and short sales. You know, well, short sales aren't really from the bank, but you know what I mean. So there's not as many options for them. So they're in our market and they're all cash buyers.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are offering $20,000, $30,000 more and waiving inspections, that cash buyer is going to wipe all of those out, because they also have contractors who know what they're doing and they're not worried about that work themselves. And when they show the property, they know what to look for.
Right.
So we have those buyers. We have the buyers who didn't get a house last year, you know, who are trickling into this year, the beginning of the year buyers, you know, new year goal. And then the people now, spring market.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost 4 sets of buyers. I just saw my first foreclosure. It went up on the market like 3 days ago. That's the first one I've seen since a whole year ago.
Yeah.
And um, I'm hoping that that kind of helps neutralize this thing. But you know, we don't know what's going to happen at the moment, but it is crazy for buyers right
It's
now.
tough. It's definitely tough out there on the financial service. Like a lot of the clients that I sit down with, and that's what I told you kind of off camera. Like this is why I do this podcast, is to make sure that like we know that we're all looking for the same clients. We're all talking to the same people, right? Everyone that's buying a home is looking to get out of debt or make sure that their retirement is set up or
Yeah.
make sure their cash flow is good. It's all the same stuff. And I've actually been advising against buying a home right now, right? I've been literally telling them, like, listen, this doesn't make sense. Like, this is the time to stack your money, right? Save as much as you can, right? You don't even have to worry about fully investing it. Just put it in a place so that when the market does flip over, right? When there is more inventory, whenever that time comes, then you're in a better position and you're not even coming out of pocket what you would have come out of pocket now. So let's focus on your financial life right now, right? And then let the market do what it's going to do, right? Because it will flip over. Talk about short sales and foreclosures. right? I was just having this conversation with someone. The short sale market is gonna skyrocket after like all this moratorium stuff is done and like they start asking for their money basically. Like
Yep.
people are gonna have an issue. So where do you see the industry going? Like what do you see on the horizon? What do ear to the ground? What are you seeing?
Yeah. So with all the research that Coldwell Banker's done, we watch all the other statistics from the National Association of Realtors, and we don't see a flip coming at the moment. We see it staying here for a little bit.
Why is
Interest
that
rate,
though? Why?
why?
Yeah.
Just because buyers are buyers, they want a house. I mean, and there are some people who they are in the situation where they have to buy.
Mm.
They don't want to rent anymore. They don't want to waste their money. And prices are only up. The average sales price in different counties are only up about 5 to 8% in the counties that I serve. So Dauphin, Cumberland, Perry, Lebanon, service a little bit of York as well, but they're only up about 5% from last year.
Mm.
So yes, that's a big number when looking at the a big number like $300,000, but at the same time, interest rates are low. So long term compared to last year, when you actually do the math, you're not paying much more than you would have from last year's
Sure.
statistics. So buyers see that, understand that, and are like, you know what? Yes, we're still going to buy. Now that's where I step in and I'm like, you're not paying $30,000 out of pocket to buy a house. Like,
Sure.
don't do that, because that is your money. When it's a mortgage, it's one thing. You can pay it down faster, not collect all that interest long term,
Mm.
not pay all that interest long term. But why are you putting up front money for a house when the appraisal gets cut? Because appraisers are doing their jobs right now. There are a lot of appraisal cuts all over the board. So that's why you see a house go for sale and it still sells at that same price.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I think a lot of buyers and other agents don't get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to get the contract, but you also want it to close.
Right.
So why are we doing this huge difference in price? You're willing to pay for a certain price, but they can't make up the difference in cash, which why would you want them to? Because then you're affecting all the other buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because I am mostly a buyer's agent, I see it this way, but a lot of listing agents are just like, well, my seller wants top dollar. Who doesn't?
Right. Exactly.
Who doesn't want top dollar? But top dollar doesn't mean $30,000 over asking. And that's just absurd to me, which is why I like to educate my clients. And again, why education is one of my number one things when it comes to my clients.
It's the key. It's the key, right? Education on all these fronts is important, right? But what I see, this is a supply and demand issue. Just like
Mm-hmm.
that's really what this is. It's a supply and demand issue. You have a high demand for homes. You have a lot of buyers, but there's no inventory on the market. And so what I think, and again, I don't dive in as much research wise. I'm more of a headline reader, and then I get my information from people I know in the industry. But like mortgage delinquencies are up like past 2008 levels right now. Like there's like I think I read something that said like 3.5 million, 3.7 million
I'm sure.
people are 90 days or behind on their mortgage. Like, and the only thing that's saving them is the fact that like they can't get evicted and no one can really come do anything until at least June. Like June, I think the thing cuts off, or the moratorium or whatever cuts off. So like that's where I believe, and I've talking to a few people, like that's when there will be the change in supply and demand.
Right.
Because if 3.5, let's just say half of those people default, right? Half of those 3.7, 3.5, you're looking at 1.5, 1.7, 1.8 million homes
Right.
that just magically go on the market. Like that's what'll happen.
Right.
They'll just magically all of a sudden go on the
Right.
market, and it'll be a complete flip right away. But you're right. If people aren't aware, investors will just come and take those up also,
Right.
because they'll have their kind of finger on the pulse. So that's what I see happening. Whether it does or not, the government could come in and keep kicking the can down the road and but like people stopped paying their mortgages a while back, right? Like 2020 was a crazy year.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing too. It's that most of those people, I shouldn't say most, but some of those people are probably taking advantage of the situation. And once they really get that letter,
Mhm.
I think that they're going to pay it off, because they can do payment plans. It doesn't have to be all paid in full. I
Yeah.
think that there were again, I know people are in crappy situations right now. They really are, but there are some people who are just completely taking advantage of it. And I think that once it's time to start paying again is when they'll be like, you know what, we're going to do a payment plan. And then they won't lose the house. So, like you're saying, half of them, maybe half of them will hit the market. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
If they do, there will be a flip, but with the amount of buyers right now, I think it'll just
It'll just
neutralize
even
things.
out, right? But either way, it'll stop. It'll boost your side,
Right.
right? And then it'll make sure that people aren't going crazy on $20,000, $30,000 over offer, like waiving appraisals. Like those are things that shouldn't be happening anyway. So
Right.
anyway, it's a little outlook on the market. I'm always paying attention to it. But again, for people that are listening, if you are in that position, right? Like again, from either side, this might be time to like reevaluate if this is the right time, or because you don't want to waste money in this, like you said, it being one of your largest investments and one of your largest
Right.
expenses. So that's good. Let's kind of switch gears a bit, because you are big on marketing, and there's not a lot of like there's some realtors that do it well. There's most of them don't do it well, right?
Yep.
How did you start thinking about marketing? How did social come across your radar? What's the importance of it? Go there.
The day I got licensed, I did a Instagram page, a business Instagram page, and I did the same on Facebook. And then shortly afterwards, Facebook bought Instagram, which was really convenient for me because I only had to post in one place. But I followed everyone from my personal page. That way, everyone knew what I was doing with my life because, again,
Yeah,
no one's going to know unless you tell them.
that's right.
I should be contacting millions. That's too many. I should be
Do
contacting
it. Do it. Let's go.
dozens,
Shoot for the stars.
dozens of people a day, though, just telling them what I do. And I was like, you know what? The easiest way to do that, social media.
Sure.
So again, first day, opened it up. I started with my headshot. Hey everyone, like this is what I'm doing. Thanks so much for following me. And it's a um, it's a test to see, what's your audience is going to like and what they don't like.
Sure.
So very fast, I learned that they did not like pictures of houses because I don't even like pictures of houses.
Who does, right? Like
No one
really?
cares how much you're selling. Like, give me something. What can I give them? And that's kind of when I got into the education side of things. So I started just posting little facts. And then I realized that they also liked the funny things that I see in real estate, like the bar bathrooms that are in basements, all by themselves, the silly things. And it was just, what do they like? And finding out what they liked. And then, again, it changes over time. So, of course, I had to switch it up again. So, when I first started at Coldwell Banker in October of 2019, right before everything happened,
Mm-hmm.
I did an open house, and it was a slow open house. I recently downloaded TikTok. I made a funny video. It wasn't even funny. I was dancing.
Yeah.
No information or anything. I was just dancing.
Yeah.
And I posted it to a Facebook group that I'm in called Real Estate Agents Under 25.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, you need to post this on your social media page. Like, it's the truth, because I'd forgotten my laptop, which is why I was playing on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted it, and sure enough, people loved it. So I was like, okay. At the time, I was doing Wednesday videos where I was doing little snippets. What are these real estate terms? What do they mean?
Mm-hmm.
I believe you commented on one a few years back whenever you saw it, and then
I think that's how you got on my radar, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I was doing those videos, but then I realized people aren't really watching them as it is,
Mm-hmm.
and they read the text. I started doing text because people were reading that. So I started doing these videos, and now I do informational videos of me dancing with the information on it. And people love them because it's engaging, and it's not just a long text of
Right.
what's my first step when I buy a house.
Right.
Instead, it's me dancing in the background with, this is what you do.
Exactly. And I think that's your advantage, and that's where a lot of realtors and people that are, because your industry, like mine, financial services, real estate, like it's got a lot of old people in it, right? Like it's just older people, just people that have been there for a long time, right? You got
Yep.
your people that have been brokers for 30 years, right?
The average real estate agent is 52.
There we go. Right? It's funny because we say
Yep.
the average financial advisor is 55, right? Like,
Yep.
and it's just true. These are old industries, and sometimes it's tough to teach old dogs new tricks, right?
Yep.
Like it's just real tough. So, I ran into that when I was getting started. So I've been in financial services for like 8 years now. It's been like 8 years, and
Okay.
probably about year two ish. I remember talking to like my broker, like, hey, what happens when like people stop answering the phone? Because I'm just smiling, dialing, and just making it happen. But I just in my mind, I was like, I don't answer the phone that much. Like I don't like what happens when they stop answering the phone. Like how do we get messages to them? And right, old school, just like, oh, it's not gonna happen that way, or right, like people always need us. And okay, fine. From that moment, I put social media, I put marketing on my radar to be like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is where we need to go. And so for you, even just the intuition to jump on TikTok, right? Like, and is this last year? Is this 2020 or is this 2019?
2019 is when I started my business TikTok page.
See, so think about this, right? Like most people are hearing about TikTok 2020, the end of
Yep.
2020, the middle of 2020. You're a year ahead of the curve, so obviously, right? Tons of attention, right? You can just continue to put out. What were you already natural on social? Did you know that like you would have to do it this way? Because again, if you were old school, you might have put out a newspaper ad, or you might have tried to get a TV commercial, or go to a radio show, or post your flyer everywhere, right? Like, why did you go social? Just because you were native, or how did you think about it?
It's the least inexpensive option. And that's where I really thought about it. I was like, okay, I don't have money to invest in myself right now. I was brand new. I stopped working as an admin part time so I could focus all my time in this. So it's free.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I'm not boosting things, it was free and it's not time consuming. So, content, yes, to really sit down and think about my content, that's one thing. But it was a kind of a no brainer. I was already on it all the time, anyways. Again, the people who I was following knew who I was. And I felt it was kind of more personable
Mm-hmm.
because I can comment on things right away. And, people like on Instagram, I really only use my business account anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm commenting on people's stuff. So then other people are seeing CW Realtor. They're like, who is that? And then click on it and see who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of natural for me. I've always been on it as it was. I came on Facebook as soon as it opened up. I mean, I got it in 8th grade. And so it was just kind of natural to me, and it's been really beneficial. So,
That's awesome. And again, it's something that I think that everyone should be adapting. We've been on this boat for a long time, just putting out content and being in these social platforms. But again, the thing that I always say, and this is good for anyone listening, that again, you're in the industry or just trying to figure this thing out, like your job is to not sell something, not sell a home, or not sell your services to somebody right away on social when you meet them or when they see your content. Really, what it's there to do, it's to position you so that when they are ready to buy or sell or do something transactional,
yeah.
they think about you. That's it, right? We all know people in real estate. We all know them. But the question is, when I'm ready to buy or sell my home, who do I think about? And that's what social does. That's what content does. Is it
Yep.
puts you top of mind of people, of your prospective buyers or sellers when it's their time that they want you, right? And a lot of people, especially in real estate and what we do, like they try to just put their message out like as if everyone's ready to buy or ready to sell
Right.
or ready to do it right now. It's like that's not what you're there for. So you've taken the educational approach, which is something that I've done. Talk about those three things that you said that are big in your your social media strategy.
Yep. So I only try and post education, family, and fun.
Mm.
And I think that these are all important. The education, they get something out of my page. It's not just something they scroll past. I'm providing information to them that other agents are not willing to share because they think I'm telling them how to do my job.
Mm.
I can tell them how to do something. I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make it drink. It's the same thing there.
Right.
Um, Family, just because I want to be personable. I want people to see that I'm real. I'm not just, again, showing pictures of houses, sold, pending. I do it occasionally because people do tend to like it, but it's no one cares that much.
Right.
And then fun, same thing, education and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do they really go together? They can. And that is where I think that I really differentiate myself from other agents because again, all the agents are a lot older and they aren't doing these things, and they're not sticking in people's brains then when they have questions, because I make it known on my social media that I'm a resource. I don't care if you end up using someone else, but when you're first starting, come to me. Like, let me answer some questions and see, if you really do click with me. If not, it's fine, but go to someone who you're comfortable with asking questions with. And I think that those three, education, family, and fun, have really given people that comfort level to come to me and ask questions.
That's so good. That's so good. I model something similar because I, again, want people to come to ask their financial questions. Because, again, who do we go to when we have financial questions, right?
Right.
Who do we turn to? Like, you go to Google, right? You go to YouTube.
Yep.
Like, you really don't have a resource for, like, hey, what is the difference? And again, these are, some things are Googleable, but, like, I think that's a word, Googleable. But some things you can Google. Some things you need guidance on. Some things it's specific to your situation that you need some expertise on, that somebody can help you down that path. So being able to, go to someone, ask the questions, and like you said, whether you use me, whether you use you or not, and you just go do your other thing, at least we gave you some information. So
Right.
that education piece is big when it comes to our industries, because there's a lot of things people don't know, and if you can be the trusted resource, you'll
Right.
also get the business on the back end if you're the trusted resource. So, I think all those things are awesome. How do you mix it up? Like, do you do things specifically that are fun? How do you get your creative ideas?
Oh, good question. I feel like I'm running out of them these days. So, great question. I actually just do a little bit of research on what other agents are posting that are close to my age, because again, I follow all of these ones that are in my Facebook group, the real estate agents under 25, and I want to see what they're doing that I could be doing that is out of my comfort zone, because that's a huge thing. Even making videos was a huge thing for me. So, I try and stick with my TikTok dances, which I haven't done in a few weeks. I have one in my drafts. I just need to post it.
I got
And
like 17 in my drafts. I just haven't gotten around to doing anything. But
this
that's
one
okay.
though, I made last week, and I just didn't put any education on it. And I was like, I'm not just going to post a dance this week.
Yeah.
So the TikToks I'm sticking with because people seem to like them. Funny real estate memes, pictures themselves, people seem to love them. So just following real estate pages that are posting these things, and they might have their little logo on it, but that's okay. It says it's like real estate memes, or
Mm-hmm.
like iFunny, like things like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. It's I'm gonna give credit to them, but also I found recently I'm just testing a few things out. It's again, see if people like it or not.
Yeah.
And one of the things I posted was like a modernized attic that was turned into a bedroom. I got like 80 likes on it. And I
Wow.
typically, my average is about 35. And
Yeah.
I was like, so they liked that. So
Yeah.
again, that went above and beyond. So now I'm just finding more pieces from Google, from other, again, real estate websites that I follow.
Yeah.
It's
It's the
it's
way. I
all
mean,
a
you got to
test,
figure.
what do they want?
That's it. That's it. Constantly listening to your audience. Constantly listening to
Yep.
your prospective clients. Right. Like, that's just the business we're in. We're in the listening
Yeah.
business. We're in the service business. So, you're figuring it out, and that's my creative method. I'm constantly figuring it out too, right? Just I see things, but also I have my own ideas. My issue is I can't get out the creativity. Like, it's all here. I'm like, ooh, this would look great if I, but then I can't execute on it. Like, I just don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't come out the way I want to. All that type of stuff. But again, social specifically, but just marketing in general when you're in our industries is just incredibly important. And I want to give you kudos, right? Because again, that's how I came across you, is because you were putting out educational content. That means anytime someone puts out educational content, not anytime, but most times, it means that they're either learning or they like have a high degree of knowledge on their industry. And so
Right.
when you find people that are giving knowledge and not just like selling the hype, you can connect with them. I find that I learn the best from those type of people, right? That are constantly putting out that content. So um, give as we're wrapping up here, give the people, like, if someone's in the industry, someone's listening right now, they might be in their second year, third year, fourth year,
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? Like, what are a couple things that they should be thinking about, marketing wise or just otherwise, to really get their business going and like really push it forward?
Yeah. So I think a huge thing is making contacts every day. So, like I said, I have to get up and I have to make those contacts because no one else is going to make them for me.
Hmm.
So I'm a walking billboard. When I go to the gym, I'm wearing a Coldwell Banker shirt. I'm wearing a shirt that says real estate chick, something that's going to grab people's attention and almost make them want to question it and kind of ask questions. But it's the same thing, people have, when I've gone to networking events, have actually recognized me from my Instagram page because I post daily. It's another thing. You always want to be in their face. Instagram stories are huge. Polls, asking questions makes people think, and people are interactive with them because they are watching. Like you said at the beginning, someone's always watching. And people who I never thought would ever like a post of mine, they don't like the post. I didn't even know they were watching my stuff, but
Hmm.
they interactive on the Instagram stories.
Absolutely.
So they're there. Um, but I think honestly, just making things interactive and making contacts every day are some of the biggest things that you can do. Um, you got to tell everyone. Tell everyone what you do.
Hmm.
I'm at the grocery store. I'll do it. I don't. It's just be shameless at this point. Who cares?
These people aren't paying your bills, right? Like people
Right.
out in society, they technically don't care, right? Like
Right.
most people aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about what you're thinking about them, right? That's
Right.
actually what most people are thinking. So if
Exactly.
you just tell people what you do, like they're going to receive it. Well, at least they know what you do. And a tactic on top of that, adding with the social, is if you meet someone in person, right? We used to get phone. I used to get phone numbers. Now I just get social. I
Yep.
just get so like, hey, where are you? Where can I find you? You on Facebook, Instagram, link? Because I'm everywhere. So if I know they are, and this is the back end side of it, if I'm putting out content, once I get you in my feed, right, and in the mix, it's likely you're gonna start watching what I do, whether you like
Right.
or comment on it. I got you into the fold, and so now I might put out that podcast episode where you heard something and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I need him for, and I met him and he was cool, right? Like then you start to recall, like, oh, I know this person, and transparency earns trust, right? So
Yep.
like that's why we do this on social, because the more that people trust you, the more they're going to want to do business with you. So you have to be transparent, open up, right? Show people about who you are, what you do, and it definitely leads to great results. So
And on that, I think a huge point of it is being personable and not a salesperson.
huge.
So, yes, I'm wearing the stuff that obviously makes, I sell houses, but I don't see it that way because I want people to be comfortable with me, which is why, again, like you said, I'm transparent on my social media. I had a bad day. I'm telling people I had a bad day because life is not all butterflies all the time.
Right.
Um, but yeah, just being at personal, and like you said, getting a social is completely different than getting a phone number because I'm not calling anyone. I hate when people call me. I'm not calling anyone.
Exactly. I knew this was coming a long time ago. I was like, yo, I
Yep.
don't I don't answer my own phone. Like, think of the amount of people that don't answer a call that like you don't know the number. Like, I don't think
I
anyone
do.
answers.
I do only because it could be a potential client.
Sure.
But before I became a real estate agent, never, because most times it's about my car's extended warranty.
Good old extended warranty guys, right? Like these are crazy. But yeah, we only do it, and that was always what they said. Like we only do it because it's our career, it's our job, it's what we do. The average ordinary person, they're not picking up their phone. Like they're if they don't know your number and they weren't expecting your call, like the amount
Exactly.
of people that pick up their phone, like, ugh, why are they calling? Even if they know you,
Exactly. Even if
like,
it's their best friend, their mom, they don't care.
yeah,
Text
they
me.
don't exactly. So like that mindset had to change, and because we're in old industries, they didn't adapt. A lot of the older guys and gals that are in our industries, they're not adapting. They're still trying to pick up their phone. They're still trying to do these things, and it's people like yourself, people like us, that are going to move this needle for the next generation of
Yep.
realtors and financial service professionals and all these people, because we're now the blueprint. We're now about to show the blueprint. That's what it's going to become, right? We were taking the blueprint from the old timers, right, on what to do. Then
Yep.
this whole thing shifted because of the internet, because of right, just whatever happened that made that shifted social media, and now we have to craft our own lane, and we're showing the blueprint for the next generation that comes up. So now you're going to see new agents and new financial service people that are bigger on social, that have huge TikTok presences or big YouTube channels, and they're going to actually be doing it strictly for this, for marketing. But that's actually their business. It's going to be in these areas. So I think you're leading the way. I know this is something that we've been doing for some time, and it's definitely going to be the future of our industry. So again,
Agreed.
kudos. Now tell people where to find you, Cassandra, like because if people want to
Yeah,
reach out or
I'm on everything. But yeah, so my Instagram is CW_realtor. I'm pretty sure it's just CW Realtor on Facebook, but if you just look up Cassaundra Wolfe Realtor, I pop up. Even if you Google me, I have a Google business that has all my links. So,
awesome, awesome.
yep,
Find
pretty easy
her.
to find me.
Yeah, exactly. And that should be the case, right? We should
Yep.
make it easy to be able to find us. But absolutely, for everyone's listening, feel free to reach out, especially if you're in Central PA, right? Like, reach out, find her on social, follow her. She's going to give you that information, right? Again, we just talked about it. The education part is incredibly big, right? The fun, all of it is an important part. You're going to get that from her, and she's going to be able to help you down this real estate journey, whether you're looking to buy a home or whether you're in the industry and you
Yep.
might need some guidance, right? You might need some mentorship. You might need somebody that's been doing it for some time that has found a bit of a formula, and she could possibly give you some insight. So I appreciate you taking the time today, Cassandra. We had a great talk. Anything that you need moving forward, right? I always tell people this, like, I'm here. We'll connect. We're connected on social, so feel free to reach out. More than happy to help any of your clients, and I know where to find you if I need to send people your way. But again, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me today, Chris.
Pleasure's mine, and for everyone listening, till next time for Property Players, guys, we're signing off. Have a good one. God bless.